Today we'll speak about how to spin up EC2 instances in AWS. Right? Then click on EC2, and once you have EC2, there are 0 machines running. Click on it. You're in this picture where you can see all the settings of the EC2 machine. Click on the launch instances. This is how you launch an instance. So if you see here, you have different types of images which are machine images. So if you want to spin up a machine which is Mac, you can go with this setting, or for Catalina version you can go with this setting, or if you want to spin up a Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8 HVM, you can go with this. So SSD means a solid state drive, which is very quick, and that's what we're using for today. And I'll just select 64-bit. Once you select that, that's when you get all the family of instances. So family is nothing but, once you select a particular family, T2 micro something, you'll get the number of vCPUs and virtual CPUs. vCPU is nothing but virtual CPUs and memory assigned to that particular family. So first I'll go quickly through the default settings when you create an instance. First one is the number of instances, where how many machines do you want to spin, or if you want to spin up machines in a kind of auto scaling manner, where depending on the traffic you can scale. You can go into launch into auto scaling group, but I will discuss about this in a later video. And the second setting is you can request spot instances. Spot instances is nothing but you get a lot of discount when you use these instances, and it depends on the demand that is happening currently in that particular region. So for now I'm just going to go without the spot instances. And networking, so you have to choose a VPC. VPC is nothing but a virtual private cloud. It's your private network in which you want to spin the machine. So this is your VPC, and if you want to create, this is the default VPC. If you want to create a new VPC, you can always go and create your own VPC with its own settings in similar manner to this one. So you can click on create VPC, and then use that VPC to launch the instance. And currently I'm using the default VPC and the subnet. As you know, you can create your own subnets or use the default subnet for the machine. I'm using US West 2C subnet to spin up my machine in, and most of them are defaults. And one important thing is I want to protect my machine from accidental termination. I'll show you later in this video of how it protects from deleting your machine. So if somebody accidentally tries to delete your production machine, they cannot do it because you selected this option. So that is one thing. And then the user data is very important, because if you want to execute any commands, you can execute the custom commands once the machine is spinned up. So that's when you use the user data to tell the machine which commands to execute it when it starts up. You can define it as a file, or you can define it as a text or something like that, right? Next, you have to add storage. So storage is nothing but how much storage you want to give your machine. Like, you have to store your files, you have to store whatever information, whatever data you have. So in AWS VPC, AWS, you can always select the amount of storage or the size of the storage at this level. So if you see here is a volume type is root, and root access, and it is being the snapshot. This is a snapshot, is nothing but it's a backup of the volume, and you can choose the size of the volume here. You can choose for example, you can give it as 64, something like that. So I'll just go with the default 8 gigabytes of storage. And here you can select the GP2, GP3, or IOPS, SSD, IO2. This is based on the amount of IO that you want to do. Is it a magnetic kind of storage, which is a bit slow, and all that? So you can choose based on those settings. If you do a GP3, you see that IOPS goes to 3000 for sure, and GP2 100 to 3000, and the throughput is not applicable. So throughput is 125. So delete automation selected. And you can also encrypt your storage. You can use a default key, or you can create your own key in KMS, We'll speak about KMS it's a different service in AWS, but we'll discuss that in a later video, because that's a video by itself. And or else you can just unselect this and go with an unencrypted volume here. But it's always recommended to use encryption, because for the security purposes you have to be really careful there. And you can also add root volumes, another new volumes for your system, and attach them to your system. Currently I will just go with the root volume. And next is add tags. Tags are very important because this helps in various automation kind of thing, where if you want to know the billing based on the tags. So for example, if you give department tag and you say initial project, so you can depending on this key in the billing section, the billing service, you can always select through this key and see what is the price, what is the expenses in this whole account that are coming through the department. Department would be like for example ops, something like that, or a developer department, something like that. And you can just or give another tag known as priority high, something like that. So based on these tags you can retrieve the information, the billing information, and then you can get the pricing of how much it's costing for you. So this is more towards the metrics and end of month costing kind of thing. Then you want to configure a security group. Security group is really important because this will be applied on top of your network interface, or it's applied on top of your instance, where you can select a default security group, or you can use a initial this is my custom security group. So if you see here, only SSH is allowed with the TCP protocol with port range of 22, and this IP address is my IP address, and this is what is allowed into this machine. Nothing else is allowed into this machine. Any other IP address, nobody can reach this machine. So that's the reason why it is very important to configure a security group, and you can modify the security group as and when you want, and then assign that. So this is nothing but the summary of what you're going to launch, and this is the launch. I have my init key pair, acknowledge. You can always, so once you get this, you can go click on that, and you see that it's in the pending state, right? So it's kind of spinning it. In the meantime, what we can do, something like developer project, something like that, and then that's the instance name, and you can see all the information at the bottom. If you see, that's the instance ID and the instance name and the public IP address, private IP address, and DNS, and which VPC it is spun up in, and what is the subnet ID for that. You can also get the ARMY ID, because based on this ARMY, which is Amazon machine image, we spinned up this instance, and so whatever is configured in that ARMY is what is there in the instance. So if you want to use a different ARMY, sometimes you want to harden your image, put some more security settings, disable certain services which are kind of threat for your security, and then you can use that ARMY on top of all your, as a template for all your instances. So that's where the ARMY is really helpful in. And I'm using the AWS ARMY with this name, which is hardened, and so that is what the basic. And you can check your security settings here, you can check the networking settings here, status checks, because these have to pass. Like once these status checks pass, only you will get the instance states run, otherwise you will get a error saying the status checks failed. So it's very important to even for static monitoring. Tags, these are the tags and all that. So if you see here, it's running.